dukkha, a place of misery and suffering. So just imagine, we're getting it certified by the person who created the system here, dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's a wake-up call. We're thinking that we're going to be happy. We're thinking my whole life ahead of me. I'm going to get the right job and this and that. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. I need to get my priorities straight. So that's another thing about decision making. What's our priority? What's our priority? What's our priority? If it's material goals, will definitely end up crashed on the side of the road somewhere at some time for some length of time. But if we have a spiritual goal in life, if we keep our spiritual goals forefront of our decision-making process, then we'll perhaps more likely choose a career that will facilitate that spiritual goal. We'll choose this that will facilitate that. We won't choose things that completely take away all of our time. We don't have any time for our spiritual practices or whatever. Or we won't choose something that will compromise our religious principles day in and day out. So we have to keep the spiritual goal in life as one of our forefront in our mind all the time. And that will also help us make a good decision on how we pursue different choices in life. I'm determined to finish the first paragraph. Okay. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusions. Now, Srila Prabhupada, as you well know, he didn't write this yesterday. He didn't write it last year. He didn't write it the last election either. Sorry. He did. But it's so pertinent, isn't it, to the situation that we're experiencing now. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. Why did those innocent people die in that fire? Bhagavad Gita also gives us information to that effect also, too, to understand the results of activities. Every activity has its reaction. And what are those reactions? How are those reactions going to accrue and play out in our life? Well, we need to keep that in mind. Bhagavad Gita gives us a guideline for that also. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. So disciplic succession, it's a term that we use a lot in Krishna consciousness. Disciplic succession means that the information that's been given by the Lord passed down to the spiritual master, and he passes it on unchanged, uninterrupted, completely. He passes it on completely to his disciples. The disciples learn it, practice it, and they pass it on completely and intact to the next generation, the next personalities. In other words, the information is the same information that originally was there when the universe was created. That's a mind-boggling thing also. But anyway, so the information is there. So the solution is already tried and tested and tried and comes up with a solution. Now, does it mean that somebody who is aspiring for spiritual life won't have a life trauma? No. Does it mean that some of us aren't going through traumas as we speak? No, we are. But there's difference between somebody who doesn't understand the value of human life and the purpose of human life And somebody who thinks that by doing this and this and that in life, I'll be happy, and therefore when I did this and this and this and I didn't come happy, then I'm like, devastated. It's different to be going through trials and tribulations in knowledge and in ignorance. It's a total different thing. So that's why a spiritual guide will help us. So you don't sit on bugs, or they don't come under you anyway. Okay, Hare Krishna. A person with okay, now listen to this one, okay? A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. What do you think about that? Jitari, Prabhu? How about if I edit it like this? A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything that's important in life. That puts it in better perspective, right? Okay? And that's what the point that Srila Prabhupada's making there. A person with a bona fide spiritual master realizes that that bug on the floor is a spirit soul, and therefore he doesn't deserve to be killed unnecessarily, and therefore I'm going to try really hard to get him up and move him to a safer location where he won't get squished. And thank you for doing that, even though it's a little hard. But a person who has a bona fide spiritual master will understand what the values of life are, and then will do their best to guide their life in that way, manipulate their life in that way, so that they'll not be and this is another thing that's totally misunderstood, misled, forgotten, not even thought about at all in quote-unquote materialistic life, that every action has a reaction. Every action that we do has a reaction. So if I think that I'm going to just be a good person, I'm not going to steal, I'm not going to this, I'm not going to bother people, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to be nice, and most of the time, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm just going to be a good person, and therefore I should have a good life. Well, there's a lot more to that than that. Because what is a good person? Oh, well, gee, I never thought of that. What is a good person? Krishna explains that a good person will see that there's a spirit soul inside every living entity. Not just the people that I like, but even the ones that are giving me a hard time. They're spirit souls. They're part and parcel of Krishna. Not just the people that are in my political group, but even the opponents. They're spirit souls. Not just the people, but the trees and the grass. Not just the trees and the grass, but the animals. And yes, I really like animals. I take really good care of my dog. And I eat a cow. It doesn't make spiritual sense. And unless we have the teachings of the scriptures and the spiritual master showing us how to apply them, we'll be sure to make a mistake that will cause us to come back and try